Comms, Darren here for Case of the Mondays, already episode number 4. Now if you haven't already subscribed or liked us, please do so below. Also leave us a comment and let us know what you think. But let's check out this week's case. Now that it's after midnight, we have a look at our next set of words. And the first word will be omnigenius, mistakable, and apronless. Alright, we'll see you guys in a week. This week's word is omnigenous. Omni comes from the Latin all or every, and genius means to contain. Therefore, omnigenous is to contain all kinds. I am really excited for this week's word because it gives me more of a wild card. I actually get to choose one of my favorite topics to teach all kinds about. And that's the reason that we put this channel together, and that's learning. You realize there's a genius in all of us. That's why you'll find a theoretical physicist who can't change a light bulb. But at the same time, you'll also find a mailman who's able to flawlessly recite the 18th sonnet of Shakespeare. And as in omnigenous, there's also many kinds of learning. And the first type of genius would be a linguistical intelligence. These type of learners use language to express their views and to understand other people better. They're very good at spelling, reading, writing. They love word games, and they're very great debaters and public speakers. Now, if this is your kind of genius, a couple ways that you can strengthen your ability would be through things like making up stories, keeping a journal, or starting a debate. Now, a couple examples of these might be Bill Clinton, who was the 42nd president of the United States and was also left-handed. Tony Robbins, who is worth over $500 million net worth from his motivational seminars. And J.K. Rowling, who went from broke to being worth over $1 billion because of the Harry Potter series. And Winston Churchill, who not only won the Nobel Prize for Literature, but also was a great painter. And one of his paintings, The View at Tinnereer, ended up selling for over £600,000. A mathematical genius is able to recognize patterns, calculate, and handle logical thinking. They understand numbers, problem solving, and love computers. If this is your kind of genius, you can do deductive style thinking like Sherlock Holmes or some brain teasers. A couple examples of these might be Bertrand Russell, who won the Nobel Prize for Literature for Peace. Albert Einstein, who was the genius who married his cousin and never wore socks. Sir Isaac Newton, and the apple didn't actually fall on his head, he just saw it out the window. And Bill Gates, who was knighted and had no college, but has donated over $28 billion to charity, and at this point has saved over 6 million lives and counting. A visual or spatial genius are the artists that love to sculpt, paint, draw, and think in pictures. To improve this ability, you could take pictures, watch movies, or draw diagrams. A couple examples of these would be Frank Lloyd Wright, who's considered the greatest architect of all time, Leonardo da Vinci, who was the Italian Renaissance polymath, painter, sculptor, architect, musician, mathematician, engineer, inventor, anatomist, geologist, cartographer, botanist, and writer. And Steven Spielberg, who directed Schindler's List, which went on to make $320 million worldwide, and he hasn't accepted a single dollar in payment. Pablo Picasso's first word was pencil. Musical geniuses are able to sing, play, and compose music. To grow this talent, you might want to study with some music on, learn to play an instrument, or even memorize lists through rapping. A couple examples of these might be Elvis Presley, who despite his lower IQ excelled with his gift in music. He also had a chimp named Scatter who developed a taste for scotch and bourbon. Elton Hercules John was actually born Reginald Kenneth Dwight. And a famous German waltz god is also an anagram for Wolfgang Amadeus Mozart. And Ravi Shankar, who taught George Harrison of the Beatles the sitar in India. He was considered a genius, but after having an affair, it resulted in the birth of Norah Jones. A kinesthetic genius is somebody that's very hands-on, coordinated, and loves to get things done. To improve this ability, you might want to move while learning, listen to educational-based audio, and just get out of the house. This might include Bruce Lee, and even his son, who is an action film star, but died during an accident in the filming of the movie The Crow. Or Michael Jordan, who has a table with 32,292 holes in it, which is the amount of points he scored during his career. Tiger Woods has an average club head speed of 125 miles per hour, while the rest of us only have about 84. A social genius is somebody who has a lot of friends, enjoys company, and is always good at negotiating a win-win situation. To excel in this kind of learning, try and incorporate socializing into the curriculum, work in teams, and try and be a good coach and mentor. Larry King was married 8 times and interviewed over 40,000 people. Oprah Winfrey was the first African-American female billionaire. And Princess Diana, when she was married, she brought over 750 million viewers. But on her death, 16 years later, she had over 2.5 billion. An intuitive genius is somebody who has deep awareness of their feelings, honors, and values. If this is you, use questions to explore your inner self, and make time for reflection and meditation. Some of these greatest thinkers include Socrates, who actually taught Plato, and Plato, in turn, ended up teaching Aristotle. And if you love plants and animals, then you're probably a naturalistic type of genius, which means you look for patterns throughout nature. Some ways to strengthen these abilities would be to spend more time outdoors, actually study outside. If you can't, then bring outside inside. Jacques Cousteau actually co-invented the aqua lung or scuba gear. He was a famous filmmaker as well. And Charles Darwin, even though he loved studying plants and animals, also had a very interesting taste for rare animals and once even ate an owl. If you save the life of another human being, you're considered a hero. In 1933, there was a young, inquisitive man who was making a life decision. He wasn't sure if he should stay at home with his family or pursue higher learning and education. But he looked up to his grandfather, who told him, "You're wiser to fill your head now if you want to fill your belly later." After gaining his PhD in plant pathology and genetics, he traveled from the United States to Mexico, India, China, and Africa, gaining even more knowledge along the way on how to hybridize corn and wheat for arid climates. And when he was finished, Norman Borlaug got the Nobel Prize for being the hero that saved over 1 billion people and counting. Some experts say it takes over 10,000 hours to master something new, but that's easily mistakable for becoming a national expert at it, not simply learning the subject, which only takes about 20. It's important to know and then to grow, but you'll realize your true genius when you yearn to learn.